Hey guys, welcome back in. It's the Madman Football Betting Podcast. Welcome back. Guys, thank you so much for stopping by. We always like to start by thanking everybody out there for following us, checking us out on all of our social media sites, over on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. Guys, give us a follow and give us a 5-star review over on the podcast platform. We want to grow this podcast to the point where we got a ton of listeners out there. But again, we just want to say thank you. As we get started, guys, here we are, week number 10 in the NFL, week number 11 in college football, as we wind down and get closer toward the end of the season and get ready to kick off bowl season and, of course, the playoffs in college football. And as you know, the college football playoff rankings came out. Of course, Ohio State sitting there at number 1. Indiana sitting at number 2, which is cool. Texas A&M. Elko's done a hell of a job down at A&M. Alabama sitting at number 4. They got a couple tough games left. Georgia sitting at number 5. Ole Miss sitting right there at number 6. Lane Kiffin got that Lane train rolling. BYU and Texas Tech, they are sitting there at number 7 and 8, and they play each other this weekend. So that's going to be very interesting to see when that game is over where that losing team might fall to. Oregon sitting at number 9, Notre Dame sitting at number 10, Texas, Oklahoma rounding out the top 12. I'm not a fan of Notre Dame being in there at 6 and 2. I know a lot of people might like Notre Dame being there, but just not a fan of the independents when you're not in a conference. When you got UVA sitting there at 8 and 1, at number 14, Utah 7 and 2, has played a tough schedule, sitting there at number 13, and there's some other schools sitting there as well that probably, in my personal opinion, could be a little higher. Georgia Tech off a tough loss, but they're sitting there at 8 and 1. Vanderbilt 7 and 2. Louisville sitting there at 7 and 1. So, but there's a lot of football left, guys. This playoff thing, as we all know, they come out with that first ranking, and things get shook up because, as you all know, Indiana's going to have to play Ohio State if they continue on course to play in the Big Ten championship. A&M, if they play in the SEC championship, they're going to be playing either Alabama or Georgia. So there's games there that's going to take place. Ole Miss still got a couple games left. The Big 12, same situation. So there's a ton of things that can happen over these next few weeks. But it is exciting. This has been an exciting year. No one has run away with it, which is cool. It makes football fun when you can sit and have these conversations and not really know who might be that winner of the championship, because there's still a lot of football to play, and there's a lot of good football teams. When you start talking about the Texas A&Ms, the Texas Techs, Indiana's, Ohio State, Alabama, Ole Miss, Georgia, these teams, any of these teams can win it. So as we continue through the season, we'll continue to look at this playoff ranking. But guys, let's dive in. Week 10 of the NFL. We're going to flip-flop today, talk NFL first, and then we'll dive into some college football. We've looked at a couple games. Don't see a ton on the board that I like real well in the NFL this week. Several college games caught my eye, so we are going to talk about those. First on the board, Houston and Jacksonville, division game. Houston is 3 and 5. Jacksonville's 5 and 3. Jacksonville's been playing pretty good ball. Houston, of course, Stroud got hurt last week. This line is 3, has dropped to 1.5. Interesting line move, and we don't know Stroud's situation, but the backup QB in Houston is not, in my personal opinion, the guy that's going to lead this team to a victory. So, Madman play Sunday, week number 10 in the NFL. I like Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence to actually win the game without needing the 1.5. I think Jacksonville pulls the outright upset. That'll put them in position to contend with Indianapolis in that division. So Madman play Sunday afternoon. Take the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Houston Texans plus that 1.5 points. Guys, earlier in the summer, I gave out my over 4.5 win total on Carolina, and I got a lot of heat for this. Everybody kept telling me how terrible of a play that was, how terrible of a pick that was, that Carolina was awful. And I knew I seen something last year once they pulled Bryce Young, and I said this earlier in the summer, once they pulled Bryce Young and they put him back in, it seemed like things started to click just a little bit better. I know they're not great, but guys, they just went on the road and pulled an upset against the Green Bay Packers as I believe, a 14-point favorite last week. Won the game outright on a walk-off field goal, 16-13. Carolina at home plays even better. That game was on the road. They are at home this week, minus 4.5 against New Orleans. I know it's a divisional game, but I believe that Carolina has gained a little bit of momentum from these last few weeks as they begin to play better every single week, and the defense has been playing awesome. So guys, Sunday afternoon, week 10 in the NFL, Madman play. Take those Carolina Panthers at home, minus the 4.5 against New Orleans. I think New Orleans has done thrown in the towel. Season over. They've got a different quarterback they're playing. I know they want to make sure they figure out what they got to do in the draft. I just don't think New Orleans is going to be competitive the rest of the season. So take those Carolina Panthers, minus 4.5, Sunday afternoon in the NFL. Next on the board, Baltimore. With Lamar back, Baltimore's playing good. Minnesota, of course, coming off that big upset last week, 27-24 over Detroit last week as an outright winner. Ruined a lot of survivor plays because I'm sure that Detroit was on a lot of survivor plays last week as an 8.5, 9.5 point favorite. Money poured in on Detroit. Minnesota pulls the outright 27-24. However, I don't think Minnesota is any good. I just think they pulled an upset in a divisional game against a rival team in the Detroit Lions. This week, take the Baltimore Ravens minus the 3.5 against Minnesota, as I think their defense gives McCarthy all he can stand. Take those Baltimore Ravens Sunday afternoon, week 10 in the NFL, minus the 3.5. Late game on Sunday, Seattle and Arizona. Arizona, they're going to stick with Brissett. Kyler Murray is going to stay on the bench. He's played well these last couple games, looked real good against Dallas. But Arizona's defense is what impressed me against the Cowboys, shutting down the Dallas Cowboys, who were averaging a league leading, or at least maybe a number 2 spot, 30-some points a game. I think that the Arizona Cardinal defense is starting to play real good ball. Going to keep them in several games. This weekend they play Seattle. Seattle's up favored by 6.5 points. Darnold's played well. But again, guys, you know, I always talk about Sam Darnold and I always talk about Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes did it last week, doing Danny Dimes things, turning that ball over, throwing 4 picks, a total of 6 turnovers against Pittsburgh in an outright loss to Pittsburgh as a favorite. Seattle, Sam Darnold's played really well all year long, but he hasn't faced a really good defense with a couple real good corners. I believe this might be the week where Darnold coughs the ball up a couple times against Arizona. Sunday afternoon in the late window, Seattle minus 6.5. Madman play. Take the Arizona Cardinals plus the 6.5, and don't be surprised if Arizona doesn't keep it close enough in that fourth quarter to pull the outright upset. So take those Arizona Cardinals on Sunday, late window in the NFL. Guys, we'll be back in just a couple moments. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and talk about some college football. But before we do, Make sure you get over there to TikTok, all of our social media, Facebook, Instagram, X. Make sure you check out all of our videos. Get over to YouTube. The full podcast is on YouTube. All of our shorts, our reels are over on YouTube. The podcast platform also has our podcast. Make sure you smash that follow button and share those videos as we take this Madman Club train to the window and start cashing tickets every single week. Guys, right now we are officially up 113 units on the year through week number 10, week number 11 in college football, week number 10 in the NFL, hitting at 58.05%, 29 units on our dog of the week at 8-2 with one push. College football 59-51, 31 units. In the NFL, 34-18, 53 units for a grand total of 113 units. Guys, we're taking that Madman Train to the window to cash tickets. If you want to get aboard, jump on now as we continue to win throughout the season. Guys, we'll be back in just a moment with some college football. Hey everybody, welcome back in Madman Club Betting Podcast. We're going to dive into some college football. But guys, real quick, before we dive into our plays for college football, the coaching carousel continues. LSU, Florida, Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State, UAB. Tons and tons of openings out there right now. UCLA is another one. Guys, do not be surprised if this continues to happen as we get closer to the end of the season. It's a win now mentality at most of these schools. 1-2 year, that's it. Got to get in, got to sign your NIL deals, got to get plenty of transfers and try to win that championship today, because that's what they want. And it looks like you're going to start seeing a lot of these coaches getting fired if they don't win a championship in the first 2 to 3 years that they're there, or at least put someone in the playoffs. So as we already know, there's more coaching vacancies right now this year than there has been all of last year, even after the season. So that's going to continue to grow as some of these other coaches that are at schools like South Florida, maybe Nebraska, Missouri, UNLV, these coaches I'm sure are manning phone calls right now for openings, because Dan Mullen in UNLV, I'm sure, has been contacted by Virginia Tech, maybe Penn State, Florida, or maybe even LSU. Lane Kiffin's been contacted, I'm sure. So is Zolich down in South Florida. Matt Rule, his name got brought up as a Penn State replacement. So guys, that shoe will continue to drop as we move forward and get toward the end of the season. It could be a very interesting rest of the college football season and a very interesting college off season as things change, coaches change, and players even change, because when those coaches leave those schools, as we all know, just like with Cignetti taking every one of his players with him, or just like Southern Miss taking all of Marshall's players with him, guys, it's college football like we've never seen it before. But man, it is entertaining, and boy, I love it. So let's dive into a couple of these games, and let's kick it off with an SEC matchup on Saturday. One I really like this weekend. Florida 3-5, Kentucky 3-5. Florida opened up as a 4.5-point favorite. 43.5 is the total. And guys, Stoops, his name might get brought up. Speaking of a coaching change, Florida's coaching vacancy. They're going to be trying to figure out who they're going to be getting in Florida. Last week, Florida played a hard-fought game against Georgia. Comes up 4 points short in a 24-20 loss to Georgia last week. They played their hearts out. As we all know, every time the coach gets fired, it seems like they circle those wagons, and they got one good game in them, and that was it last week for Florida as they played Georgia. Georgia did have a chance to put the game out of reach. However, we had Florida plus 7.5. And man, I'm glad they took a knee down there on the 2-yard line because Florida got the cover as we gave them out last week. However, this is not the Circle Wagon week. This is the week after the Circle Wagon week. Florida playing Kentucky this weekend, 4.5-point favorite. Madman play Saturday, college football. Take those Wildcats plus 4.5 as Kentucky not only covers but may have a chance to pull that outright upset against those Florida Gators. They're not that good. They just played good last week. I think Kentucky has a chance to pull the outright upset. So again, Saturday college football Madman play. Take the Kentucky Wildcats plus the 4.5 against those Florida Gators. West Virginia at home, early game. Colorado in prime time coming over on the east to play at West Virginia, 12 o'clock. Colorado's 3-6, West Virginia's 3-6, and last week West Virginia pulled the outright upset, if I'm not mistaken, against Houston. They beat Houston 45-36 as Houston tried to make a comeback late in that game. West Virginia comes away with a big victory, but they are sitting at home. Desperate times in Colorado for prime time. Let's see whether he can get the job done. Mountaineers sitting at home, like I said, played a big-time upset last week. Still riding high off that upset. I don't know if this is a game or a spot they need to be in. Prime time's back against the wall. Colorado on the road catching 5.5 from the Mountaineers. Saturday, 12 o'clock early in a shootout in West Virginia. Take those Colorado Buffaloes as prime time gets him a win this weekend, as I think Colorado pulls the outright upset against West Virginia, 12 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. That's another one of your Madman plays for Saturday. Next on the board, Clemson and Florida State. Interesting matchup because Florida State off a blowout win last week. Clemson off a loss against Duke last week as Duke comes back, scores, goes for 2, wins the game. Florida State blows out Wake Forest last week. Now you got Clemson sitting at home, minus 2.5. Klubnik played pretty good last week. He's at 1,900 yards and 13 TDs. Turned the ball over 5 times, but last week he played well. So his season totals look good. They're at home. Anytime Death Valley at home at a night game, doesn't matter who comes to town. Florida State off that big win last week. I don't think Wake Forest is that good away from home anyway. They do play real good at home, but we gave out Florida State as a big play last week against Wake Forest, and it ended up being a blowout. This week, at home in Death Valley, Madman play. Take the Clemson Tigers minus the 2.5 as they get back on the winning side of things, and they beat Florida State convincingly. So Saturday, 7 o'clock game, night game in Death Valley, Madman play. Take those Clemson Tigers minus the 2.5 against Florida State. Next up, Georgia, Mississippi State, and I believe this is an early game on Saturday. I think, yes it is, 12 o'clock. Georgia Bulldogs, 7-1. Mississippi State, 5-4. Mississippi State's played pretty well lately. Last week, we gave out, we had Mississippi State, was down by 14 points last week, come back and beat Arkansas in the fourth quarter, and we gave out Arkansas and Petrino hoping that they would get their first win. Mississippi State comes storming back and won the game as a 4.5-point dog last week. This week, Mississippi State at home against Georgia. Georgia, 8.5-point favorite. Like I said, they're 7-1. Mississippi State is 5-4. But guys, don't underestimate Mississippi State, especially when they're playing SEC schools. Georgia off a hard-fought win last week. And oh, by the way, Georgia has Texas waiting on deck. I don't think they're paying attention to Mississippi State. Classic look-ahead spot as they prepare for Arch Manning next week, because they know it comes down to who makes it to the SEC championship game. 8.5-point favorite. Guys, Madman play, 12 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Take those cowbells down in Mississippi State as we go down to Starkville. Take Mississippi State plus the 8.5 against the Georgia Bulldogs as they keep this game super close late in the game and have a chance to make sure they cover. Again, guys, Madman play. Take Mississippi State plus the 8.5 against Georgia, 12 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Next up, we got Rice and UAB. Interesting game. UAB without their coach. They have pulled an upset or two. Their defense has looked a tiny bit better over the last couple weeks, where early in the season they were giving up 40 and 50 points a game. So now they've got Rice. Rice is at home hosting them, minus 2.5 against UAB. Rice sitting at 4-5. UAB is at 3-5. UAB's defense, like I said, they've looked a little bit better here the last couple weeks. This is the key component and why I'm taking who I'm taking, the same as I talked about a moment ago with Georgia. Rice has got North Texas waiting in the wing as they play them next week. Rice minus 2.5 playing UAB, little old UAB without a coach. They're not paying attention. This is another classic look-ahead spot, in my opinion. Saturday afternoon, I believe. I'm gonna look at the time here and see what time this game is. Rice, like I said, they are at home playing UAB. Don't know exactly what time that game is. However, Rice at home minus the points. We are taking UAB. Madman Club play. Take the UAB Blazers plus that 2.5 as Rice overlooks UAB and possibly loses the game outright. So there's your Madman play on that game. Take the Blazers of UAB in a possible outright upset against Rice Saturday. Next up, Texas and Missouri. Guys, don't like a side in this game, but I do like the total. I know both of these coaches, I don't know if they're getting Manning phone calls or not. Elko's done a hell of a job at Texas A&M the last 2 years. And what about Drinkowitz at Missouri? He has put them back on the map. They are playing well. They're 6-2. Texas A&M is 8-0. Look for this game to be a shootout, and also maybe the team with the ball last is the team that comes away with the victory. This line opened up at Texas A&M minus 6.5. The total sitting at 47. The line has ticked up to 7-47. But guys, at the end of the day, I don't like either side. I think it could be a 3-point ball game, and I think the team with the ball last could win. So here's what we're going to do. Madman play for Saturday, Texas A&M, Missouri. Take that over 47, as I think these guys get up into the 50s, maybe into the 60s. Over 47, Texas A&M, Missouri, and Saturday. Alabama, LSU. I talked about this game the other day as a lead-up coming into the podcast. I've got a lot of feedback from a lot of people who says LSU is going to lose by 20. LSU does not stand a chance. LSU can't beat Alabama. Well, guys, don't forget it's SEC, and these are two rival games. LSU and Alabama is a huge rivalry. On top of Circle the Wagon week again. Here we go. will they and can they keep the game close enough with Alabama to cover? LSU is catching 10.5. Total sits at 48.5. They obviously don't think there's going to be a ton of scoring in this game, which leads me to believe that neither team's going to find the end zone that many times. I think LSU's defense is a pretty good defense. No, their offense can't score. It seems like they struggle week after week after week. Nussmeier's, something's been off about this offense all year long, and Nussmeier's not getting them in the end zone. However, this is about a defensive ball game, not an offensive ball game. So guys, Madman play. This game is late Saturday, 7:30 on Saturday evening. It's a night game. It is in Tuscaloosa. I do think Alabama wins the game. I think they stay on this win streak. However, Alabama's had a tough schedule up to this point. Now they got LSU coming to town, and they're going to bring that defense with them. Guys, Madman play 7:30 Saturday night. Take those Tigers of LSU to keep it within the 10.5. I do think they lose the game. However, I think Alabama wins the game by a touchdown or less. So Madman play for Saturday night. Take those LSU Tigers and that defense as they circle the wagons and play after their coach got fired, and they show up against the Alabama Crimson Tide. Next up, guys, Duke playing UConn. Duke is sitting at 5-3, coming off that big win against Clemson last week. UConn sitting at 6-3. UConn's at home, catching 9.5 from Duke. Total sits at 66.5. High scoring total. Looks like these two teams might like the scoreboard up, which tells me that they might be a ton of scoring, and it leads you to believe that the last team with the ball may be the team that wins the game. Duke's defense does give up a ton of points on occasion, and so does UConn, and both of these teams can absolutely light the scoreboard up. Don't like the total. I do like the game. After coming off that huge win last week against Clemson in comeback fashion, Duke has UVA 8-1, number 14 UVA on deck next week. Duke is on the road going to UConn and has to turn around and play UVA next week. So guys, no question, I believe this game will be closer than what this line is at 9.5. Madman play for Saturday. Take the Huskies of UConn plus that 9.5 against those Duke Blue Devils, as I think this comes down to a field goal or a 6 or 7 point game. Madman play, take those UConn Huskies against Duke on Saturday. Nebraska on the road playing against UCLA. Nebraska, to me, hasn't looked the part. They're 6-3. UCLA's 3-5. They've played great football since firing their coach. They've been in some games. They've won a couple games since getting rid of their coach. The interim coach has done a pretty good job. UCLA catching 2.5 from Nebraska, and I don't like Nebraska at all. They just don't look the part and haven't all year. Earlier in the year, I was a Matt Rule fan, but he cannot win the big game. And now it looks like there's some of these other games that he just don't do the part as well. Nebraska on the road playing UCLA. Madman play. Take that home team. Take those Bruins plus that 2.5. And I think the UCLA Bruins pull the outright upset against the Nebraska Cornhuskers Saturday evening college football. Oregon and Iowa. Oregon minus 5.5. Total sitting at 41.5. Iowa 6-2. Oregon is 7-1. They're going back on the road. And guys, you talk about a tough place to go play. Iowa is a tough place to go play. and they bring the defense every single week. Catching 5.5, sitting at home, 6-2 Iowa, waiting for their opportunity, and this is it. As Oregon comes to town, look for Iowa to keep this thing close enough to maybe pull the outright upset. Madman play college football on Saturday. Take Iowa plus the 5.5 against Oregon, and don't be surprised if Iowa don't pull the outright upset Saturday against the Oregon Ducks. Next up, Jacksonville State, UTEP. Jacksonville State minus 1.5 on the road at UTEP. Jacksonville State is 5-3. UTEP is 2-6. Total sitting at 49. Guys, interesting spot right here for Jacksonville State, playing a team that I'm sure they're going to overlook in UTEP, and they're going on the road. Tough place to go play. At home, UTEP, like I said, it's going to be a tough one. The line indicates that. Guys, Madman Club play, 3 o'clock game on Saturday. Take UTEP plus the 1.5 against Jacksonville State. Next up, Nevada, Utah State. Utah State's minus 9.5. Utah State is 4-4. Nevada 1-7. Nevada, interesting because they have kept a couple games close here lately, but they're terrible. However, I do like Nevada just because I think they can keep this game close enough within the 9. Madman Club play late Saturday night. This game is at 7:30 over at Utah State, 7:30 Saturday night. Take Nevada plus the 9.5 against Utah State on Saturday as a Madman play. Next up, and this is one I love, guys. Two teams, they're both ranked in the top 10 in the college playoff. Here we go. This is where the cookie starts to crumble as teams begin to play each other, and they either fall out of that top 12 or down far enough where they're not getting that bye. Texas Tech minus 9.5. They're 8-1. BYU is 8-0. Total sitting at 52. Guys, Texas Tech went out and spent a lot of money on players this year to get these players at all these skilled positions. Texas Tech and their defense has even gotten a whole lot better. This is an interesting game, and I know a lot of people are going to jump on BYU, catching all those points, thinking they're 8-0. There's no way they're going to lose to Texas Tech. Me, on the other hand, I look at it a little differently. I think Texas Tech's the real deal. Guys, Saturday night, I believe, let's find it here, see what time this game starts. I believe it's an early game, actually, at 12, and it is 12 o'clock on Saturday. Texas Tech at home, minus 9.5. I don't think the game is close. I think Texas Tech and those skilled positions really put up some points on Saturday. Madman Club betting podcast play. Take Texas Tech as they blow out BYU Saturday at noon. Get ready, guys, and smash that one. Take the Texas Tech Raiders against BYU on Saturday. And guys, as we get ready to wrap up the show, it's time again for that Madman Dog of the Week. And guys, here we go. Interesting matchup. Two teams with losing records, 3-5 and 2-6. Tulsa is at home playing Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic, of course, is 3-5. Tulsa's 2-6. Florida Atlantic is a 5.5 point favorite. Total sitting at 64.5. And guys, just because Florida Atlantic's defense is not any good at all. looked at this game long and hard, has watched how the line has moved. I've watched how these two teams have gotten bet. With this line sitting at 5.5. Like I said, two teams with losing records. Florida Atlantic has looked a little worse now than they did early in the season. This is a big-time play. Florida Atlantic minus 5.5. Tulsa sitting at home, total sitting at 64.5. Madman Club, dog of the week. Take Tulsa plus the 5.5 against Florida Atlantic, and don't be surprised if Tulsa doesn't pull the outright upset this weekend. Again, guys, Madman dog of the week. Take Tulsa plus 5.5. College football Saturday afternoon against Florida Atlantic. Guys, before we get ready to go, make sure you smash that follow button. Shoot us over some comments. Let us know what you think about our plays. Let us know what you think about the podcast. Follow us on all of our social media. Get over to YouTube, check out the full podcast and video, or get over to the podcast platform where you can listen to the podcast. Get over to madmanclub.com today and get registered. Everything on the website, as far as plays are concerned, are no charge. Madman Club College Football, NFL, and that Madman Dog of the Week every single week at madmanclub.com. Get over there and check us out today. Guys, that is a wrap for today's show. Remember to bet smart and bet like a madman.